next guest, Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State under the Obama administration. Joel, always good to see you. Thanks for making the time tonight.
You too. Thanks, Tasha.
Joel, let's start with the border. Trump has already said it is time to wage war on the cartels. We know his incoming border czar, Tom Homan, said he will, quote, absolutely need military and special ops to take on the cartels. Joel, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, ultimately, Natasha, this is going to have to be settled through bilateral discussions with the government of Mexico. The United States does not have authority to just send our troops into Mexico. That would be an act of war that would require congressional authorization to do that. But there are a lot of tools available. You know, I've traveled to Mexico on congressional delegations when I served in the Obama administration. There's a lot of bipartisan support for efforts to combat drug cartels. As Congressman Crenshaw pointed out, these cartels are harming Mexico itself, its democracy, killing thousands of Mexican citizens. So I bet there's a lot of political will in there if it's done properly. And that's the real red flag here, is that if we have rhetoric coming out of Congress that sounds like we want to launch a war against Mexico, it's going to undermine our ability to actually work with the government of Mexico to counter these cartels. So it has to be very carefully done and diplomatically done as well.
Okay, I appreciate that perspective. Joel, I want to get your take on China now. Biden and Xi Jinping having this final meeting today. Yeah. What do you think Xi Jinping should be prepared for with Trump coming in a matter of weeks? What do you think Americans should expect with this relationship?
Yeah, you know, Natasha, the rhetoric about China on the campaign trail is hot. And I think that he's smart enough and he's been around long enough to understand that rhetoric can at times veer into real, harsh territory. But I think what he's going to look at with President-elect Trump, is he going to be more aggressive than Joe Biden on the economic front? Is he going to, for example, enact tariffs? And if President-elect Trump does enact tariffs, then what countermeasures will he take? And this is where it gets really dicey because other countries do have a vote. If we enact harsh tariffs, China very well could do the same. They could block products coming into China from our agricultural sector, from our farms. It could have real cascading negative effects on our economy. So I think he's going to watch and wait to see what is done. And he's also, and it's worth mentioning, he's also going to be wondering about Taiwan. Will the United States pull back from defending Taiwan, or will it go forward? There's mixed messages from the Trump team, different appointees, and President-elect Trump himself has said in the past that he would not get involved in that. And so I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what the policy really is as well.
Yeah, you know, and Alina Shirazi just saying in her report there, Trump has tapped 2 China hawks. Marco Rubio, yes, who is currently banned from China right now, and then we have Mike Waltz. Your thought on these picks? What do these picks tell us?
Yeah, they're very strong picks. They're highly qualified individuals. Marco Rubio served on the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate for a number of years, and Intelligence Committee as well. And Congressman Waltz is a veteran who served our country overseas. But they are hawks, without a doubt, and they're very tough with their China rhetoric. And that may very well come into conflict with people like J.D. Vance, for example, the incoming vice president, who has spoken aggressively about not getting involved in wars and conflicts overseas. And President-elect Trump as well has tried to veer away from that. So this will be a test for his campaign rhetoric. And internally, there's going to be a lot of debates, I'm certain, between these hawks and the more isolationist wing of the Republican Party that's going to be in the cabinet room advising President-elect Trump. And he's going to have to make the ultimate call. But they are very tough characters coming in as the ones that you mentioned just now.
Yeah. And Joel, what will these proposed China tariffs, according to Trump, as much as 60%? Your concerns about what they might do to our economy, is there any historical precedence to this?
Well, the big one is the Great Depression, when in 1930, the Smoot-Hawley bill went forward and tariffs skyrocketed. And then the rest of the world looked at us and said, well, we'll enact tariffs too, and accelerated the Depression. Farm states, which are red states, which tend to have Republican members representing them in Congress, they're likely the ones who would be hit hardest from retaliatory tariffs if we were to impose them, because no country is required to import American goods. And they very well could say they're not going to any longer. And our agriculture depends upon exports for new markets. So it's a real risky proposition. It was good campaign rhetoric. We'll see if President-elect Trump will do it when he's in the White House, when members of Congress from farm states are saying, don't do it, be more targeted. We'll see how far he really goes, because this tariff idea, it has a bad historic precedent. That's why we've moved towards more open markets since the Great Depression and since World War II.
All right, Joel Rubin, appreciate the analysis as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tasha.